Welcome into another episode of Rip N Riff here on the Rip N Riff YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook network. That man over there to my right is Mr. Jared Moore. I am at Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. We are right around the corner. We got the Stanley Cup playoffs, NBA playoffs kicking off. It's a great time of the year for sports, Jared.
It is a great time of year for sports. Also a great time of year for my allergies. And I noticed that as the Open was playing and my hearing was not so good. It was a little muddled in my ear. And I was like, I might have a little bit of a head cold here. So we will push through today.
We will push through. A little Dayquil afterwards will get you a long way. Now, this is going to be one of our, for season 2, I believe our first guest is coming on today. We're very excited about the first guest of season 2. We have Mr. Bill Zimmerman of Windy City Gridiron coming on here, also of the Bear Banter Podcast, also a media consultant. Now, Pearl Jam's got a new album coming out on Friday. I took this man and his lovely girlfriend to their first Pearl Jam concert at Madison Square Garden. 8 years ago, Bill.
Whew, was it really 8 years ago already?
2016.
Wow. See, that's the problem. See, this pandemic has messed up my brain. And I know, obviously, we are years in the past, but 2016 feels like it was like 4 years ago to me. There's like 3 years of my life that just went missing, and I don't know what happened to it.
No, 100%. Because, like, you even think about it, the pandemic now was 4 years ago. And it's just like, wait, really? That was 4 years ago? Like, what the hell has happened all this time? And, like, now we're just getting older and fatter and balder and all that wonderful stuff. Bill, how are you today?
I'm doing great. And yeah, looking at Adam's hairline there, I might have the best hairline of the group. And I don't know the last time I was able to say that.
Well, congratulations, bud. Really, we're glad we could do that for you.
I could go down too. I mean, there's problems. I'm not saying I got that sporty beauty head of hair there.
See, I'm good in the back. I just, the line goes back a little by little.
You got the Steve Torrey, former Mad Dog Radio, or former Mad Dog Radio employees. Steve's just, his back is good. It just keeps going. His forehead's just going to hit the back soon, though. I love you, Steve, if you're listening.
At some point, I'm going to have to be like George Costanza and like find a fellow bald person and be like, well, how much time do I really have here? Like, when do I got to pull the plug?
That's a great episode.
Yes. Yeah, now I'm going to have to watch that later. Now, of course, we're going to talk some draft with you here, but before we get to our Rip and Rant segment, love to go through the packs we're going to open up today here. So here's what I got coming up. We got a 2021 Panini Contenders pack. Those, you can see some of the rookies and some of the, parallels and sets we can get out of that pack. Jared goes 2007 score. Man, I hope we get a Jamarcus Russell rookie because that would be great.
So do I.
And then on the bottom, Bill's taking us back. One of the packs that makes up our logo, a 1987 Topps baseball there. Barry Bonds, Jose Canseco, Barry Larkin rookies. So lots of good stuff there. Now, why'd you pick the 87 Topps? I know you were like hemming and hawing between like early 90s, late 80s football, baseball. How'd that work?
Well, I mean, I didn't want to do something current. Like I could have just gone down and picked up a couple packs, but I wanted retro. I wanted to, relive my youth. And this is the, like, collecting for me was probably, I picked up some cards, 82, 83, 84, but like 1985 to about 1992, I was just complete sets, packs, buying the 36 pack boxes and just diving in constantly and trying to collect complete sets. That's when I was really hardcore collecting. So I wanted to bring back and get to that, connect to that era of my life. The 87 is just one of my favorite sets. I think, one, because it sets off the steroid era in baseball, because the home runs in 87, when McGuire's 49 and Dawson's 49 and all the crazy stuff that happened. That just came out of nowhere. The wood paneling on the card is just, fantastic look. So, when I was poking around on Amazon to see what kind of cards I could find, and when I saw it's actually a 2-pack of 87 Topps. I can feel the gum through the wax paper. I was like, that's got to be the set to go.
And I like how Bill mentioned how he likes going the retro, because like, you can tell, obviously I'm a collector. I have all this crap behind me, but nobody starts like video game collecting with like the PlayStation 2 era. People start with the NES, the SNES, the Genesis, and I have plenty of those titles in a box in the closet right behind me. So I totally understand.
Yeah, that was my peak era of video games. I mean, I had a Sega CD system. I mean, that's where I was.
Not a lot of people had that.
No, yeah, it's probably in a box somewhere in the garage. I'd have to go look.
Now you got to go look over the weekend and you got to tweet that out if you see that box there and hook it up. And see, even if you have the right cables to hook it up, do you need like one of those old like switchers that we used to have on the back of a TV?
I think Genesis works with the traditional, red, yellow, white AV cords. I think you're safe there with the
you're
Sega
right.
equipment.
And also there are ways to hook it up to a modern TV. I actually have.
Oh yeah, they got the adapters and stuff.
Yeah, I have something here for it. It's called the Retro Tank, and it literally has like, I'll just pull it out real quick so you can see it. It has like all the connections.
That's it right there. That's what you need. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, and it'll upscale it and everything. So shout out to Mike Chi and the Retro Tank community.
There you go.
Does that get laser discs for you too?
I mean, does it have the right input for it?
I don't even know how you hook up a laser disc. I can't remember.
I mean, are we going to go back to beta? Is that what we're doing here?
Beta 8-track. Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. Now we're going to get to pack ripping here in a minute, but we're going to we got to do a little segment. We got to get some stuff out here in a little segment we call Rip and Rant. It's time to kick things off on Rip and Riff with
my Rip and Rant.
Thanks, Dave. As always, thank you to Mr. LaGreca for the drop-in soundbite there, and also he unintentionally created this segment. So Rip and Rant can be something good, can be something angry, can be whatever you want. Jared, I'm going to give you the floor first today.
Yeah, Angel Hernandez sucks. Like, holy crap. Like, I know we say this every year with MLB umpiring and Angel Hernandez in general, and for many years, the worst MLB umpire was Joe West, and then he finally retired, and CB Buckner and Laz Diaz were sort of competing for that mantle of who's the worst. And then you have Angel Hernandez, who like every time he goes out there, he just shows he's the worst. And like the fact that you can set your watch to whenever he's behind home plate because he's just that bad managing the strike zone. Like we can't get the robot umpires in baseball soon enough just to negate the Angel Hernandezes of the world. And I guarantee once they get the robot umpires in there, he's going to be like, no, that's wrong. It's a ball or whatever, or it's a strike. So he's just going to do his own thing anyway. So like in that manner, I actually respect Angel Hernandez, but also like he just sucks. He's the worst.
The Gretzky's career point total, just how far it is between him and second place. That's how far it is between Angel Hernandez and the second worst umpire right there, for sure.
Yeah, Angel. I mean, I wish I could remember. It was probably about 4 or 5 days ago. He was doing a game. He was behind home plate, and it was an
that was the genesis of
I mean, like you couldn't have delivered it down a pipe right over the middle, right waist high. He's like, ball. Like, what?
Oh no, that was the Yankee game. Yeah,
was that against the Yankees? All right.
Yeah, that was when he did the Yankee game last weekend. Yeah, it's
unbelievable. It's unbelievable that there's no repercussions for being terrible at your job.
Yeah, and it's the ultimate job security, and yet like he still gets trotted out there all the time to call games, and here we are still talking about him all these years later, and probably got a couple more years left in him.
I mean, we couldn't be any worse. And like I know we say that with a lot of different jobs, and especially stuff in sports where it's like, oh come on, I could hit that pitch, or I could do this, or I could make that free throw. No, I think this is actually one of those instances where if you put me behind home plate with zero training tomorrow for an MLB game, I could do a better job calling balls and strikes than Angel Hernandez.
I would think so, and I think you would look good in an umpire's outfit too.
Yeah, but I'd want to go like old school, like the 80s with the big giant like pillow shield that they used to have. I'd want one of those.
That's perfect. I'm picturing it right now. That's perfect.
There's your Halloween costume if you need one this year.
All right, Adam, what do you got, buddy?
All right, for me, I could have gone in two directions today. I'm going to take the positive route. Let's talk about John Sterling for a second and just the career he's had. I mean, like, I understand he's a carnival barker at times. Sometimes his calls are over the top, and, he can rub people the wrong way, especially outside of the New York area. I mean, man, the call games as long as he did, almost 4 decades. He was an Islanders play-by-play guy before that and did an excellent job. I mean, what did he miss? 2 games his whole career or something crazy like that up until a couple of years ago? I mean, talk about identifiable voices with the team. Like we talk about Vince Scully with the Dodgers, or, like Mike Lang with the Penguins. Like, to me, John Sterling with the Yankees, like, the memory that I have of Sterling that always sticks out for me was I was out in San Diego on vacation when they had their last when they had their final game at Yankee Stadium. and I had the Sirius XM in the rental car, and just to be able to be driving through Southern California and have Sterling call that last Yankees-Orioles game, like that'll always stick out with me. Like, kudos to Sterling, great career, and tough shoes to fill. But hey, Justin Shackle's gonna, I think, if he gets that gig full time, good for him. He deserves it.
Oh, I hope he does. Yeah,
he's great at it.
Guy Shackle.
Yeah,
love Justin. Fingers crossed for Justin Shackle, another Sirius XM alum.
There you go. Yeah, it's like that's what these end up becoming here when we get the gang back together again. So there's my I didn't go crazy today. Bill, you got anything you want to get off your chest here before we get into pack ripping?
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about complaining about Lexus drivers because they are the worst drivers on the road. I think you have to pass a test of not being able to drive to get a Lexus, which of course is twice as much money as a Kia, and the Kia is a better car. But I digress because you guys want to be positive. Let's be positive. Let's be positive for Chicago Bears general manager Ryan Poles, who pulled off the greatest trade in NFL history. That's right. That's what I'm saying. The trade last year is going to become the greatest trade in NFL history when he traded the number 1 pick, traded down to 9, because I think everyone says right now the best trade ever is the Herschel Walker trade, right? Dallas got just pick after pick after pick, but Dallas didn't get Troy Aikman. That wasn't a part of the trade. So at this point now, the Bears are going to land Darnell Wright, who looks the total part at right tackle and looks like he's going to be there for 10 years. DJ Moore, who's a legitimate wide receiver 1, something the Bears have barely had. Caleb Williams, who, if you follow the Bears at all, it's not going to be too hard for him to become the greatest quarterback in Chicago Bears history, who right now is Sid Luckman. And second place is either Jim McMahon or Jay Cutler.
I was going to say those are your top 3.
That's how bad it is. So at least getting to number 2 isn't that difficult. He also got Tyreek Stevenson for this pick. He's got the Panthers 2nd round pick next year. He's got the Eagles 4th round pick coming up this year. That's all part of this same trade. So they are going to land 5 or 6 starters and a couple potential all pros, including the quarterback, something they haven't figured out for 75 years. It's the greatest trade in NFL history if Caleb Williams is in fact a dude.
People can prognosticate how they think Caleb Williams is going to do. I don't know if he's going to be like this, like top 5 bona fide, live up to the hype stud, but I think he's going to be like a top 7 quarterback for many, many years. That's where I kind of peg him. Now, we all know Caleb's going top. What do you think about that other Bears pick in the 1st round there?
9th pick, I think. I mean, the Bears are keeping the top secret, they're keeping a lid on this. No one seems to have any idea. It's pretty obvious they're going to go tackle, D-line, or wide receiver. It's pretty obvious. I mean, the board fits that way, and those are where their needs are. Tackle is not a desperate need, but like if Joe Alt's sitting there, Ryan Poles is a former offensive lineman, that makes a ton of sense. I think the guy that everyone wants from a Bears perspective is Rome Odunze, the Washington wide receiver. They've got Keenan Allen and DJ Moore now, which is great, but Keenan Allen's only on a 1-year deal. Getting that guy that can, partner with Caleb for years, that makes a lot of sense. But if all 3 receivers are gone, I think it gets interesting. I don't like Jared Verse, but he just looks like a Bears type player. So that has me worried. I think Dallas Turner will be gone. The guy I love is Byron Murphy, the Texas defensive tackle. If that's what they have to do at 9, I'd love to trade back a few spots and grab him. But if they just take him at 9, I'd have no problems with that.
I think it depends. Like you said, it all depends on how the draft board falls at that point, because that's where it starts to get murky. Once you get past, like the Giants really can kind of control what's going to happen at that point and beyond. Because if you got to assume top 3 are quarterbacks, and then the Cardinals and Chargers could go tackle too, but Cardinals and Chargers probably going top 2 receivers, and then it kind of see.
Yeah, and of course, if there's a trade involved, that's if the Vikings come up for a quarterback or whatever, it's going to throw everything off. So
yeah.
I think the Giants would very much like somebody to jump up and grab a quarterback, so they are off the hook for that one, and so they can get one of the receivers they want, whether it's Neighbors or it's probably not going to be Marvin Harrison. He's going to be off the board, but I think they really want Neighbors.
Do you think they take Neighbors? Like he doesn't feel like a Mara guy to me. Like I get he's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but like another LSU diva receiver after they dealt with Odell Beckham, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, he was the best player on the team when he was here. I mean, when
I get it.
So
I get it. I like I said, if they take him, it's a great pick. I wonder if Rome Odunze might be number 2. That might be the 2nd wide receiver on their board. Just thinking the way John Mara thinks.
Yeah.
And with my Jets sitting there at 10, it's kind of going to be like, all right, what falls to you at that point if you don't move around? Or, I think they're just going to wait and see what's there. And then there's a couple of different directions they could go there. If a receiver falls, if a tackle's there, it all depends.
Are there any conspiracy theorists out there as rookies that can join the team and start a podcast with Aaron Rodgers?
Maybe.
Oh no, I'm sure they have some fire takes on Sandy Hook and 9/11 and whatever's going on in Israel and all that stuff that we don't have to discuss on this pod.
Correct.
Maybe you can find a Gen Z guy that doesn't think that Will ever scored 100 because there's no video of it.
Gotta love it. Now, we're talking draft. I mean, why don't we start ripping some here? Sorry about that. Let me rip my pack here, and let's get the rip cam going up here, the West Coast one. Well, we're ready to get some Panini Contenders here, and we can talk about players and teams as they come out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. There we go. Love that rip effect. Love that rip sound.
Before you get into this, can you explain the Ozzie Guy and penny there?
So some starting lineups came with a coin in like 91, and now that's so I can place the camera right, so I know exactly where to put the card. It's like my marker.
It's almost like you're sucking up to our guest here.
Greatest manager in baseball history, Ozzie Guillen.
Wait till you see the starting lineup studio audience if you think I'm sucking up to my guest now.
Reminiscing about the 2005 Chicago White Sox. World champions.
Maybe I can find was it Scott Fletcher? Was that the middle infielder for the White Sox from like 1988? He had I had his starting lineup. He was leaning to trying to make a stabbing, defensive grab. I don't know. Yeah.
Now, first up in the
pack,
I'm
just gonna have to try to find that one for our guessing game at some point, and he's gonna stump me because I'm never gonna get Scott Fletcher. All right, TJ Hawkinson.
Well, that's why I try to get gettable ones. I'm never gonna throw like Rick Smits at you for the guessing game. But
I would actually probably get Rick Smits.
What's wrong with Rick Smits? The Dunkin' Dutchman? Come on.
I love it. He's sitting in a box waiting to be open in my garage. It's just, I don't like, I don't know if Marist comes to mind when you're thinking college basketball players, but so there we got TJ. We got TJ Hawkinson there, and obviously the Vikings need a quarterback, but I think he'll be just fine fantasy-wise next year as a top 3 tight end. Cam Akers, is anybody going to invest in an Achilles third time around there? I don't think so. All right, Kyler Murray. The Akers thing bothers me because I traded him I acquired him in a dynasty league trade for Curtis Godwin in the same league we're in, and that really just never panned out for me.
The problem with that Kyler Murray card is that his helmet is cresting the image there, and he's 5'4". It has to be a lot shorter. They're trying to make him look too big.
Yeah,
they are. Yeah.
I mean, do you think he still has to stand next to like the theme park like ride size chart? Like sometimes like he's got to double check.
I mean, I got to meet him at the Super Bowl a few years ago. I think you were there too, Jared. And I've never seen anyone so small to play NFL quarterback. Then I haven't met Bryce Young in person, but then someone tells me that Bryce Young is even smaller. I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah, and Kyler Murray does not seem like the theme park type of guy. He seems more like the I'm going to sit home and play Call of Duty type of guy.
Yeah, for sure. Got Tyreek Hill there. You don't get to see him in that look every day. Forgot about him at Oklahoma State. Let's see here. James Robinson.
I did not know he went to Oklahoma State, so shout out to him.
Neither did I until I pulled that card. I have a half a mind to think that that's an error card, but got Cam Jordan here, one of the better defensive linemen of the last 20 years.
Love Cam Jordan.
Cam Jordan, yeah, great defensive end, and he's going to be a media superstar when he's done.
Absolutely. He wants to do games. He could do games in the studio, whatever he wants to do. Now, where do we rank CeeDee Lamb amongst the top receivers in the league?
Top 5 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's a true wide receiver one. He's definitely, he could be top 5.
I would put him.
Right
I would go in some order. I would go JJ and Chase 1 and 2. I'm not sure what order I would go, and probably depending on who's healthy. But I think Lamb's right there on that next tier. It'd probably be like Lamb and I don't know, like AJ Brown.
I'd put Hill and Brown ahead of him.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill,
Devontae Adams if he had a real quarterback, maybe. But I mean, that's the group.
A guy who used to be in that top tier, but still could be a contributor there. DeAndre Hopkins.
That's a nice set.
Yeah, this pack's pretty strong here.
Wall behind him there as well.
Oh yeah, that's a nice look there. Now a guy who's been an absolute disappointment since a few years ago, Juju Smith-Schuster. I believe I declined like a 3rd round pick straight up for him trade from you, Bill, a few years ago, and now in hindsight, I'm like I should have jumped at that.
Yeah, he's Juju's got bad juju.
Yeah. New England didn't help him. Now we got let's see here. We got another wide receiver. This is a kind of cool one here with the draft class. Pictured in his Ole Miss jersey, Elijah Moore. Hasn't really panned out. Had a couple of good games with the Jets and then became a malcontent and then went to Cleveland, and now they got Jerry Jeudy, so he's going to have even harder time getting some targets.
So speaking of malcontents.
Yeah, exactly. Deshaun Watson. We can insert whatever joke you want there, but how do we feel with Cleveland this year coming in? Do we think they can really make a dent in that division this year?
I mean, it's going to be on the shoulders of Watson. And if he actually can return to being a top 10 to 12 quarterback, I mean, he was basically a polished turd last year, other than I think he had one good game. That's why they were able to win without him, because Joe Flacco was better than he was. So
right.
If he can figure
Watson's
it out.
He has not been good at all since the trade. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. He has not been good at all, aside from maybe one game here or there.
Yeah, no, he's very inconsistent and he's usually down. So that could go down. That's one of those, Cowboys, Herschel Walker, Ryan Poles, number 1 pick trades for the Texans. What they've gotten for that, it's unbelievable. And the amount of money they threw at Watson, I mean, that's up there with Russell Wilson Broncos mess.
Not just money.
I was going to say, which trade was worse?
Good question.
I mean, Russ is still functional. I mean, it helped that he had Sean Payton. I mean, everything with Nathaniel Hackett was a joke, but he was functional last year. I don't even know Watson's functional right now.
Yeah. I guess we'll see this year. They gave him Jeudy. We'll see what they do in the draft. I mean, I know they don't pick, I think, till 54, so they don't have a first-round pick. Speaking of the Broncos, Javonte Williams, front row sets one there. Hopefully a nice little bounce-back year for him. Samaje Perine in the same backfield. Speaking of running backs, Derrick Henry. How do we feel about him in Baltimore?
This is a nice little pack you got going.
I know this. I bought like 3 of these. This is probably the best one.
I feel like Derrick Henry is the most Baltimore Ravens late 30s, late career player that's ever walked the face of the earth.
Yeah, it seemed destined to happen the instant that the Titans said, yeah, he's going elsewhere. He's a Raven, and it's perfect, and he'll still be great. He may not rush for 1,800 yards. It may only be like 1,100 or 900, depending on how much they use him, but he'll be awesome. Yeah, that offensive line, it's gonna, yeah.
And the guy who benefits the most from his presence, Mr. Lamar Jackson.
This pack just keeps getting better and better.
I know. Oh, dude, I'm cheating here. We're gonna finish strong here. Let's get a couple now. We have a former Bronco running back there, Melvin Gordon, who my favorite thing about Melvin Gordon was like the faces he made about Russell Wilson that were caught in the background on the sidelines. That is the best part about Melvin, because he spoke for a whole fan base. Just simple facial expressions.
When you get the Russell Wilson stuff, I'm sure you saw it from a couple years ago when Marshawn Lynch was on Richard Sherman's podcast, and they're all making jokes like, "Oh, you had Russ's phone number."
Yeah. Oh, you didn't have to sign an NDA?
The ultimate teammate, Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Come on over. Hang out and watch the game, but going to need you to sign something before you walk in. That's all.
At least Russell Wilson let us know that while he was hurt, he was doing squats on the team flight. Make sure you get that workout in.
Got Myles Gaskin there. Not much to speak of with him, though. You mentioned Cameron Jordan.
They can't all be winners.
They can't all be winners. And they said Cam Jordan would be an excellent studio analyst. Speaking of that guy who just made that transition, Mr. J.J. Watt.
Look at this. Yeah, JJ. I love JJ. He's the best. On and off the field.
I kind of compare, like he's like the Dave Grohl of sports. Like he's just like a very.
I love that comparison. By the way, I'm reading Dave Grohl's autobiography right now. It's fantastic.
Haven't read it yet. It's on the list. Definitely on the list, though.
There's about 11 pages of Nirvana, though. Just right over it.
I'm not really surprised, but it's still worth the read. I mean,
it's worth the read, especially when he was trying to make it in the late 80s and early 90s. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's the best part of it. Like, Anthony Kiedis, his autobiography is great. Keith Richards' life is very long, but worth the read. Like a lot of those band like autobiographies are all great reads. Now we finished this pack. The guy we talked about earlier, Mr. Aaron Rodgers, that right down the road from me in Berkeley, about an hour away.
As a Bears fan, no comment.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we actually have some Bears news, and we get to break it to Bill on the pod.
Oh, I'm. What do we got?
According to Adam Schefter, the Bears have hired former longtime Chiefs executive Ted Cruz as special advisor to the president's CEO and chief administrative officer.
Ted Cruz?
Yeah,
the politician.
Ted Cruz from the Chiefs.
Ted Cruz is amazing. Oh, I got to text him. I'm excited.
Yeah, Ted Cruz is the man.
I love Ted.
I thought you meant the politician at first.
No, not the shitty Ted Cruz.
No. Yeah, not Texas Ted Cruz. Yeah, he's what's his he set Clark Hunt. He set up Clark Hunt for Mad Dog all the time. Love Ted.
Yeah,
he was with the Rams before the Chiefs.
And shout out to him and shout out to Brad G now, who's probably gonna be the top PR guy in Kansas City.
Brad G, another good guy. Absolutely.
Oh, good pack here. Wrap it up here. We got the Rodgers one. Watt. I mean, there was so many good ones here. A lot of these are going to be going in penny sleeves shortly after we wrap up here. But we get the West Coast Rip cam off the screen, so Jared can get his East Coast cam up on the screen.
Oh yeah, I suppose I should probably do that. Let me add that to the stage and bring that here. You got to look at my dusty cable box here. I'm also reading some of the other news. I guess a lifetime ban for Jonte Porter for gambling. So don't bet on sports, kids, especially if you're in sports. All right, so rip it open this pack right now. It's like pre-ripped, and I'm still doing a terrible job as I'm trying to filibuster here. So we are on our way here. All right, we finally got it open. And we are going to start with one of the best analysts on TV right now, Mr. Trent Green.
Yeah, him and whatchamacallit, his name is escaping me at the minute. Kevin Harlan. They do the games together still on CBS, correct?
I believe,
I believe so.
Yeah. And we go right from him to Derek Burgess from the Oakland Raiders.
I like the look of the cards. It's basic, but like for like mid 2000s there, that's kind of like the look of the era.
No, yeah, I very much like them. Yeah.
It's a good look.
Go ahead, Bill. I don't want to interrupt you.
No, I'm saying it's a good look. Absolutely.
We got our first rookie card of the pack, defensive player, Justin Durant. Booked him once or twice on NFL radio back in the day. So shout out to him. Only reason I remember him is because he literally shares the same last name as Kevin Durant.
Yeah. And they were around the same time, so it worked out well.
Yep. One of the best running backs.
Justin Durant, better career than Kevin Durant, though.
Which Durant was better than Kevin?
Of course.
Justin, he didn't hitch his wagon to Steph Curry to try and make himself better.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah, we went there. Maurice Jones-Drew, one of the best running backs of his era.
Not so much as an analyst.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer here, Champ Bailey.
You talk about one of the top shutdown corners of all time who did it for like 15 years, too.
Yeah, like he just never aged.
Yep.
I feel like he could still get out there and play.
Another rookie card. I love these packs because we get to remember some guys. And right now we get to remember Robert Meacham.
Fast player, very fast player.
He was definitely on a fantasy team once or twice.
Yeah.
Never panned out. Was always disappointed I picked him up.
He was a Tennessee product, I believe, right?
I believe so.
I'm not sure.
100%. Let me see if it says on the back of the card. Yeah, you nailed it. Tennessee.
That was back when I was helping do like draft research for NFL radio to get ready. So like players from that era, like I probably remember like fifth rounders and can tell you something about them.
And a guy who was a pretty good fantasy running back for a couple of years, I think, Joseph Adai.
Yeah.
Not bad. Yeah. Was he Minnesota? University of, not Vikings. Am I right?
Joseph Adai was LSU.
LSU. Damn.
Who are you thinking of? You're thinking of Marion Barber, maybe?
Maybe that's it.
I think that's exactly what you're thinking of. We also got the little promotional card here. So we could win a trip to the Pro Bowl in 2008. So we can get on that.
Stadium just got knocked down in Hawaii like 2 months ago.
Did they? Really? Are they renovating it?
Aloha Stadium's gone. I don't know what they're putting in its place, but yeah, it's gone.
Probably a Walmart or some shit.
They were still doing flea markets in the parking lot every Sunday. That I know.
That was peak Pro Bowl years. I don't even know if you guys know this story. When I was producing, when I first got to Sirius XM, that's when the Pro Bowl, everyone was still in Hawaii. And
is this the Tony Romo story?
This is the Tony Romo story. Jared, do you know the Tony Romo story?
I do. It's a great story.
You've probably told it once, and I don't remember it.
All right, so Tony Romo's in the Pro Bowl, and the nice thing back in the day, the Pro Bowl was the only place where you could still hotel hit because everyone was listed by their own name. If you wanted to try and get Peyton Manning when the Colts were on the road, he wasn't listed at the team hotel, but he was listed in Honolulu. So you tried to get people and you see if you could get them in a good mood and get them for 8 minutes on their hotel room. So I call Tony Romo's room and a woman answers the phone. And I asked if Tony was there and she said no. And I said, do you know when he'll be back? And she's like, probably in a couple hours. And I'm listening and I go, I know this voice. And I said, is this Jessica Simpson? And she's like, yes. And I was like, for 5 minutes, I begged her to come on with Bruce Murray and Mike Yam. Begged her. She would not do it. I could not do it. Like, and the Sirius XM studios, there's not like the Frasier, the traditional look with the glass. Everyone's in the same room. So Yam is like turning off his mic. He's like, are we getting her? Are we getting her? He's so excited. And it would she would not do it. I guess she was afraid we were going to, blindside her or something, but they would have been nice to her. It would have been fun. Not
only would they have been nice to her, but they would have really done the two of them together doing that interview. That would have gone viral before things went viral.
Absolutely. That would have been fun.
That's great. Here's a player who might still be playing in the league. I only say that because he literally played in the league forever. How about Frank Gore?
Hall of Famer.
Frank Gore third all time rushing yards, I believe, behind Emmett and Walter.
Yeah, I believe he's third all time, and he's gonna have a son who's in the NFL very soon. Demetrius Williams
and Frank Gore, by the way, the best freshman running back I've ever seen. When he was at Miami, I think he averaged 9.5 yards a carry, and I'm not exaggerating, as a freshman.
And that was back when Miami had all these studs.
Yeah, that was Clinton Portis and Willis McGahee and Jarrett Payton, who wasn't a stud, but he had the right last name.
But that's just at running back. That's not counting like all the other guys.
Andre Johnson, Jeremy Shockey.
Average 9.1 yards per carry freshman year.
Like that's insane.
He pretty much averaged a first down every time he touched the ball.
We got Demetrius Williams from the Baltimore Ravens.
Another dart throw, streamer pickup.
Yep, pretty good kicker in his day, Shane Graham.
Shane Graham with a Y.
Yes.
James Ferrier.
That was a smooth linebacker right there.
Yeah, I hate it when the Jets traded him and gave him up.
We got another Frank Gore card. Here's our insert, a little franchise card there.
There, yeah, Frank Gore pack.
Yeah, Frank Gore pack. How about that? Nice, decent rookie card here. Dwayne Bowe from the Kansas City Chiefs, pretty good receiver in his day.
One of the best fantasy teams was always over the Dwayne Bowe.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. And a player who I'm a little disappointed didn't have a better pro career, and I say that selfishly as we happen to literally share the same birthday. How about Matt Leinart?
Oh wow. I didn't know that.
Speaking of Jessica Simpson, Matt Leinart, good friends with Nick Lachey. See, it's full circle.
That's what Rip N Riff does. We're like the Kevin Bacon 6 degrees, and we just all bring it together here somehow.
Also, like if I was a professional athlete, I think I'd want to be friends with as many people from like those 90s boy bands as possible.
Because you're going to need those tickets on the reunion tours, and you need that hookup. You don't want to have to buy tickets like anybody else.
Yeah, that's why I want to be friends with them.
Well, so who's Adam Shine's buddy, Jared? Who's
Joey McIntyre.
Joey McIntyre. Yeah, there you go. See, you got your foot in the door.
Hey, it's a new kid on the block. If you're gonna have a foot in the door with any of the groups, that's the one you pretty much want. Maybe in sync, but NKOTB right there.
No, I mean, if you could be friends with anyone in a boy band, and let's put Joey McIntyre aside because we've all actually probably met him at one point or another. Who would you be friends with?
Got to be Timberlake, right?
Yeah, it's Timberlake. I mean, if you're gonna, I mean, come on.
I mean, there's nobody in Backstreet Boys really doing it for me.
I might go off the board. Like Joey Fatone seems like a pretty.
I thought you were a Harry Styles guy, Jared.
No, I don't know anything past the year 2000.
I mean, I don't know what's that like Korean K-pop band that's like a worldwide sensation. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad way to go off the board either.
Oh, BTS.
International. Yeah. So
can we include girl bands and then I'll just pick Beyonce?
Sure, you can pick Beyonce.
All right,
I mean, she was in Destiny's
Child. Shout out to Beyonce for having a #1 country album.
That's what I'm saying. So we go Beyonce.
Yeah, we might have to actually do this draft one day. I have to figure this out. Boy band, girl band draft of like the 90s. I think that's what's happening next year.
Yep. All right, Billy.
All right. Well, so I don't have a cool cam like you guys, so we'll do the best we can.
Yeah, but you got the Bears theme, sure, Mike. I mean, come on now, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, I can't compete with that.
So, of course, that comes with an entry form for Spring Fever Baseball. No purchase necessary.
Hell yeah!
Let's spring training, and I assume 1988.
Oh, I have on my desk a random NHL Pro set, 10 cents off your next pack purchase if anybody wants that.
Oh, bad news. The gum broke.
Ah.
So, oh, that usually does do that.
Yeah. I mean, because it's, can you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it makes
it's
a very satisfying snapping sound.
Yeah, if I wanted to chew it, it'd be nice, but I think I might break a tooth. So
yeah. I don't know what your dental situation is nowadays. So
yeah, like here's the Spring Fever insert here. I literally remember pulling these out of packs. Like I remember this giveaway. All right, let's get these organized because they're all going a different direction here. All right. We kick it off with Ted Simmons, former Brewer, now with the Braves here, catcher, first baseman.
Pretty good player in his day.
He was a very good player. I always remember Ted Simmons was one of those guys that played so long when they had the stats on the back, they used like the extra small text.
Yes.
Size 6 font.
If you find a mid 80s, maybe that 1985 tops, find Rusty Staub's card and look on the back. You can't even read it. You need a magnifying glass.
No, 100%. Yeah, no, you're 1,000% right about that. And that they're probably the reason why they stopped doing that. And they only put like the last 5 years of some of these guys up on there. If they put their stats on the back at all.
All right, Yankee fans, Omar Moreno.
There's the Rusty Staub card right there where you can see
Oh my gosh. Can you zoom in on that a little bit? I know it's a little blurry, but
oh,
I'm at 200% right now, and you can still barely read it. Now 300%. Now you can read it a little bit. There you go.
I'm glad we got his stats there.
He's got Colt 45s on his card.
Yeah, that's true. I always remember that Colt 45s, which if you read Ball 4, there's a bunch of Colt 45 in there because he was on the team. But God, the good days, yeah, like Pete Rose. You know, the 85, 86 Pete Rose card, same kind of thing, just the text, like you can't even read it. But yeah, we got Omar Moreno, former Yankee Pirate outfielder. I always love these guys. It's at the end of their career, so he's, solid player, but he slugged 351 in 1986. Not ideal.
One thing Jared and I like on this show is last cards. Like when you have the players like last card that they produced because they retired the year later. That's why, and we don't understand why that's not more of a thing. But
right, and with all due respect to Omar Moreno, they're not putting out Omar Moreno cards in 2024, not new ones.
That's a crime against humanity. All right, but they should put out a Steve Garvey card. How about that? Padres version, Steve Garvey, towards the end of his career. One of the guys that ruined Cubs fans in 1984, hit like 900 against the Cubs in the playoffs.
I believe it might soon be Senator Steve Garvey.
I was gonna say he's running for it out here in California.
Friend of
probably not,
Unleashed,
but
Steve Garvey.
yeah, Steve Garvey, friend of
the doggy.
No, I was gonna say whatever show I booked that I put him on that one time. I put him on with Zach and Amin once for some reason.
All right, moving on. We've got Andy Van Slyke, Cardinals, not Pirates. Andy Van Slyke before the trade. Of course, Andy Van Slyke then went on to play with Barry Bonds and then was the guy who torched him on every media outlet he ever was on.
Strong, or like 90 and 91 seasons for Van Slyke in Pittsburgh. He was really good those 2
years.
Oh,
no, Van Slyke was a player. Yeah, I mean, he's not a Hall of Famer. He's borderline all-star, but that was that, before it was, all you did was hit home runs or strike out. I mean, this guy was a solid, 20 home runs, 80, 85 RBI guy. All right, we have Brian Clutterbuck, if you remember him, an Brewers pitcher.
I mean, who doesn't remember Brian Clutterbuck?
Great name.
Let's see.
I wonder if he's related to Cal Clutterbuck from the Islanders.
Spent most of 85 in Vancouver, but he did have a cup of coffee with the Brewers in 86.
He actually might be related.
All
right. I do not remember Mike Smithson. That is the first guy that I have no memory of. He's sporting a really solid 80s mustache.
He looks like a stereotypical early 80s dad there.
Yeah, that's you know there's that perfect Mike Smithson family photo where he's just sitting there smiling in the back. One kid's not even paying attention. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
No relation, by the way, Adam. Just to close that loophole.
Thank you.
Relation with Cal Clutterbuck and Mike.
I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight, so thank you.
All right, we've got an all-star here for the New York fans, Dwight Gooden.
Very optimal timing. Just had his number retired a few days ago, so that's a good-looking card there.
There's a solid card. Dwight doesn't look very good. I think they could have found a better picture.
Sun's in his eyes for sure.
He's definitely he's straining to lead the score. I think Doc needs glasses because he's straining the scoreboard there. I don't know what's going on.
I'm sure the sun's the reason why he's squinting really hard in that photo and looks 100%.
Well, you can't tell if he's sniffing. So, all right, this is amazing. I don't even know if you've ever heard of this guy, but the picture is amazing. Ron Davis, a pitcher. This is Cubs version, but let's look at that. I mean, you don't see athletes just wearing just glasses like
look
that.
Look at those Coke bottles.
And those are 80s frames right there.
Those are totally 80s frames.
Yeah. My dad had those for sure. Absolutely.
100%. Yeah. My dad had glasses like that too at one point.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like you're an athlete. It's just like he's the guy who's a Cubs fan and just put on his Cubs hat and went to the grocery store.
It's like the equivalent of like pulling like the emergency backup goaltender from the stands almost.
We've got Mike Heath, former catcher.
He's no Mickey Tettleton.
No Mickey Tettleton. Yeah, but he used to back up Mickey Tettleton on Detroit there for a few years. Here's another really 80s solid look here from Gene Walter. Well, let's get that up on the camera there. You know,
those Padres.
Yeah, the amount of mustaches on these cards is just fantastic. More mustaches with Luis Aguayo, middle infielder from the Phillies.
There you go.
Always love those Phillies.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you guys will get this reference right away.
Oh, Ken Phelps.
Ken Phelps.
People kept telling me Ken Phelps. I have his starting lineup actually in the closet somewhere.
What the hell did you trade Jay Buhner for?
I'm trying to get all the Seinfeld-related starting lineups like Ken Phelps. I have most of them, like anybody that was mentioned on the show, and I think I got all of them.
All right. How about the all-star pitcher, Greg Swindell?
I remember.
Is this a Greg Swindell rookie? It might be a Greg Swindell rookie. You didn't put that on the thing, but I mean, this is Greg freaking Swindell.
There's only so much space on the screen.
You know, and this is the thing when you, on these old cards, you know, when you don't have a lot of stats because he's only got 1 year of the minors and then 60 innings with the Indians, then you get the fun facts. Greg set University of Texas records with 19 wins, 204 strikeouts, and 172 innings in 1985. He fanned 10 or more batters in a game 17 times during his 3-year career and ranks third in NCAA history with 501 strikeouts.
Wow, Longhorn legend.
Yeah, all records that I'm sure still stand to this day.
And I don't even remember this on this date. And it's like June 22nd, 1950. What on this date? There's no date. It's just people opening cards. You're just giving random stats from random days. That's where you just don't have enough information for the back of the card. Let's just tell them what happened June 22nd.
That was the day they were writing the back.
Bob Schmidt recorded 22 putouts as a catcher. Great. We're all excited.
And you have to remember, pre-internet. So, like, it's even harder to find information on these guys back in 1988 when you
had to go through the old sports almanacs every year, like they were like this thick.
No, like they literally had to go to the local library and pull out the microfiche, get all the box scores.
All right, we got Phillies catcher John Russell, who looks like he got his Dairy Queen sundae and then just took the helmet and put it on his head.
Yeah, it's a little tight.
Good for him. Shout out to Dairy Queen.
I saw it somewhere online that ice cream tastes like 800% better out of a baseball helmet, and really does. You know, get them at the game.
All right, we got 3 more cards here. We've got future manager Clint Hurdle.
Oh wow, I always love seeing like the current managers like as the players back then. That's a good looking shot.
Not a bad shot. Royals, a couple of years with the Mets. He had a total of 115 at bats. I'm sure you remember those well.
I feel like I had Clint Hurdle as a guest on one of the Mad Dog spring training tours in one of
the I absolutely did. Yeah, in Pittsburgh. Absolutely. I know you did. Lance McCullers, another big time player, very 80s-esque.
Yes.
And we finish with maybe this is funny. So we got Rick Sutcliffe, the Red Baron, great Cubs pitcher from the 80s.
Great card.
This is fantastic. If we show the back, you get the gum stain.
I always love that.
Yes.
I mean, what else could that be? I mean, it's right there. It's
like that should, I don't know what an 87 Rick Sutcliffe goes for, 75 cents, but the gum stain, that makes it a rare. Like that should make this is a $50 card at a minimum.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I mean, you go a step deeper, maybe like broken pieces make different shapes and like, oh, this one's a perfect triangle, like that's how that goes. But no, it's always fun to rip some 87 tops. So thanks for bringing that pack. It was a good discussion there.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you just stare at the wood paneling. Like, who had the idea to put wood paneling on a baseball card?
Well, dude, I feel like every house in the 70s and 80s had wood paneling as like their walls, so we probably didn't have to look far to be like, oh, that would be a nice.
Yeah, this is the wood era.
Yeah, and you could have just had like on the back a textured shag carpet. Then you really would have been all out.
Absolutely. Hey, Tops, if you're listening for your next batch of heritage cards, that's how you spruce it up a little bit. Let's get on the back a shag carpet look. You got the technology to do it now. Absolutely.
Yeah, come on, Tops, get on it.
Now, or maybe upper deck could take over, and you could actually get like Barry Bonds' shag carpet, and then you can just get little snippets and put it on all the cards.
All right, now we're talking. That's like like they could be numbered 1 out of 10 or whatever. Like really just go nuts with it. Now, we finish every episode here with a guessing game we like to call the starting lineup figure 5. I tell Jared and a guest if they're there with the sport, and they got 5 questions to figure out who it is. They figure it out. I get to unbox it. If not, it goes back in the storage bin in the garage. So today we're going to do baseball, and that's all you get.
To compete against somebody this week, so I'm excited for that.
And with that, begin asking.
So are we just going to alternate here back and forth?
Yes, and Bill, since you're the guest, I'm going to give you the option. Do you want to kick or receive? You want to go first? Or you want me to ask first?
You ask first.
Okay. All right, baseball. Is this?
Do we know what year this is, or I know the starting lineup era, but
you know the era, and I will give this probably with this particular player. The year is not going to matter because he was relevant throughout that period. But this is a '98 edition.
Is this player in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
See, no. If you figure out who it is or when it's revealed, it'll click.
All right, 1998. Is this player known for hitting home runs?
Yes.
All right.
3 to go.
I think I actually know who it is.
I think I might know too. I'm curious if we're on the same page.
See if Jared's next question paints the picture a little more.
No, I might just I might just blurt it out and ask it. Is it Mark McGwire?
No, I didn't have the buzzer ready, so I was trying to do that.
All right, that's not who I was thinking, but I will. So if I ask a question and then you say yes, and it's very pinpointing, then Jared gets to guess.
I mean, you guys are kind of working together here. I feel like more than anything. So, all
right. Did this player ever hit over 60 home runs
in a single season? I am surprised by this, but no, he did not.
Not in the Hall of Fame.
He hit a lot of home runs, but he didn't break the 60 barrier.
Did this player ever win a World Series?
Twice.
All right. Home run hitter, never hit 60 home runs, not in the Hall of Fame.
But was known as a home run hitter.
All right. Is this question 4?
This is your last question.
So do I get to have a question?
Guess doesn't count as a question.
Guess
unless you're me and you're an idiot and you waste the question on the guess.
All right, not in the Hall of Fame, home run hitter, 1998.
If anybody's watching, wants to play along and guess in the chat, go for it.
Let's see. Did he win both his World Series as a member of an American League team?
Yes.
All right. So now we guess.
Now's the guess. Now it's time. Bill's taking one off the table for. Excuse me, Jared took one off the table for you already.
Yeah, I was obviously this is not the guess, but I was thinking it was Sammy Sosa. That's why I went with the 60 home run line.
All right.
Okay. You guys can each take a guess. Each get a stab.
Is it Joe Carter?
Good guess. Home run hitter, two-time World Series champion.
I don't know if this guy won 2, but I'm going to go. Is it David Justice?
No, sorry. We are not unboxing today.
Ah, man. Is it Cecil Fielder?
No, it is Jose Canseco.
Oh, man. He was on 2 World Series teams.
According to Baseball Reference, yep. Because the A's won in 91, and then I'm trying to see where he got the other one.
Oh, he was on the 2000 Yankees, right?
He was on the 2000 Yankees, and then he was on the 89 A's. And they won the World Series that year. They lost in 90 to the Reds the following year. So
I mean, I guess the one Bash brother off the bat, I didn't guess the correct Bash
that was the
brother.
I was thinking more recent. I mean, he was still playing, obviously, but like 86 to 94, 95 is where I usually kind of lump Canseco. So yeah, that was a good one.
And besides,
I usually bat pretty well
was his peak. 44 was his peak season. I was surprised he didn't get 60 once in like that era with him and McGuire were crushing it.
Yeah, I probably should have said 50 home runs. It wouldn't have. We still would have been wrong, but I probably should have said 50 instead of 60. A nice snort into the microphone. How about that?
We always love that, especially the people who have to edit things like that later on. So, nonetheless, he will not be joining the starting lineup studio audience next week. But in this week's studio audience here, we've got Ozzie Guillen from the 1991 edition. We got Ed Belfour, who got out of the box last week from 1993, Michael Jordan in 92, and then the only Bears starting lineup I have, Brian Cox from 1997.
Well, we're just going to pretend that's Khalil Mack, and that makes it so much cooler.
Okay, I like that. It's 52. It's still the same jersey. You know what? Yeah, Khalil Mack, baby. I mean, I like Brian Cox when he was on the Jets, but
Brian Cox was one of the best things I will always remember. Monday Night Football. Back in the day with Frank, Al, and Dan.
Yeah.
And I don't remember which team Brian Cox was on at the time, but he was having a good game, running all over. He might have been the Jets, but running all over the field, sideline to sideline. He must have had a dozen tackles or so. And Dan Deerdorf just goes, you know something, Al? I love Cox. And and Al Michaels just goes, Dan, I don't know if that's something I'd admit on national television. And then there's like a pause, and he goes, because, Brian Cox's controversial personality, of course.
I don't remember that game.
Good. Oh my God. I wish I've looked for it on YouTube. No one saved it. I'm probably the only person in the world that remembers this, but it was so good. And Michaels was just so on it because Al's the best. And like he knew what he was going to do. Like he did it. Like he knew how to get out of it too, without making it,
going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, it just because of his controversial personality.
Brian Cox, to me, the thing I remember about him, he had like one of those like huge like shoulder pad like attachments that stuck out like behind his neck, like the like
the neck roll. Yeah,
not the cowboy collar. It was like an actual like flat piece that kind of came up there. He was one of those guys. Made him look more intimidating, but nonetheless, Dan Deerdorf loves Cox, so love Deerdorf as an analyst. But hey, listen, this was a really fun episode today. We got to thank Bill Zimmerman for coming on. Please promote away Windy City Gridiron, Bears Banter Podcast at Bill T. Zimmerman. What else you got coming up? I know you've been doing the Twitter top 10 draft poll, which has been fun.
Yeah, so we've been doing an interactive poll. In fact, the Bears are on the clock right now. I got to send that poll out here. It's good. All the Bears fans are going to pick Rome Odunze, so there's not too much there, but podcast has been going really well. If you go back through the feed, did an episode with Peter King. I did an episode with Dan Wiederer, who's a Bears beat writer for the Chicago Tribune, and coming up, scheduled tomorrow. So it's actually the podcast will be out first thing Monday morning. Dane Brugler from The Athletic is jumping on. So podcast is going well. Doing some writing on Windy City Gridiron, editor, all that stuff, and we're seeing where we can take the Bears stuff as try and look at my career and maybe try some different things here while I got some flexibility.
I think we're all in that boat right now on this show. So and likewise, and glad to hear it. And yeah, please check it out. Draft coverage, Bear stuff. Of course, Jared's got poker coverage that we like to joke around as mediocre playing, but great production values. If you want to go there and check out some shorts. I mean, the production values really are just like beautiful. And don't forget all about thejersey.com, as the Devils are going to have a busy offseason there, as well as they look for a coach. Say again?
They suck.
Yeah, they do suck. Well, they'll be back in the playoffs maybe. And of course, Total Hockey Now, which I host on Tuesdays with Christopher Murray and Anthony Rivera. We're going to have we put up a new episode yesterday. Got plenty of Stanley Cup playoff coverage coming over the coming weeks here on Total Hockey Now. But that'll do it for this edition of Rip N Riff on the Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube R&R Network. For our guest, Bill Zimmerman, and for @Mr. Jared Moore, I'm @Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. We'll be back with you next Wednesday on a brand new episode of Rip N Riff, I believe, with Corey Parson. We're going heavy basketball next week for the playoffs. Love our guy, Corey. See you next week on R&R.